In this video, we're going to replace the spark plugs in a 2012 Honda Civic. This will apply to Gen 9 Honda Civic 1.8 liter, years 2012 through 2016. Tools and supplies needed are 5/8 spark plug socket, 10mm socket, a couple of extensions, flathead screwdriver, spark plugs, gap gauges including feeler gauges if you have them, some dielectric grease, and a source of compressed air. Optionally, some anti-seize compound for the threads. Before you start, the most important thing is that you're working on a cool engine so that you don't damage the threads in the block when you remove the plugs. First thing we need to do is remove this cover. So take our flathead screwdriver, turn these counterclockwise 90 degrees, and this should lift off. There'll be a rubber here and rubber here, so it just needs popping off. It can be a little stubborn, so just get your screwdriver underneath, pop that up, and that should come off. I'm just going to give it a little burst with some compressed air, just to clean up the area a little bit. We don't want anything getting down inside. Next, with my 10mm ratchet, I'm going to remove the coil pack. So we've got this one bolt on each. It shouldn't actually be that tight. And set that where you won't lose it. I'm just going to lift the coil pack up a little bit, and then I'll unclip this wire harness, just pushing down, pulling off. Now I'll remove the coil pack. I'm going to clean off the coil pack now. Clean the area up a little bit. See, there's a little bit of oil leaking here. That's another issue. Have to address that a little bit later. Once again, I'm just going to blow it out with some compressed air. I'm blowing that out so that I can just make sure that there's no dirt or anything in there when I remove the spark plug. So now taking a 5/8 spark plug ratchet, and the spark plug ratchet is special because it's got a little rubber grommet inside which grips the spark plug and helps you pull it out easily, but also when you're replacing a new one, helps to put it back in place, get it threaded properly, and prevent any damage to the plug itself, for example, cracking of the ceramic. So just break it loose. Okay, here we go. Now you may be able to remove it by hand initially, but this one, for some reason, can't. So let's continue with the ratchet. There. Now I'm just going to inspect the plug. Now before I replace the plug, I also want to check the replacement height. Make sure that it's not longer. If it's too long, be too far in and cause damage. Just double check that. I'm actually replacing it with the exact same plug, the exact same brand and manufacturer part number, which is Autolite Iridium XP5701. And before I put it in, I'm just going to check the gap. You want to be careful with these Iridium plugs. Don't scratch off the Iridium on the top. That's the very tough metal, very tough layer. If you remove that, your plug's going to die prematurely. So just be careful that you don't do any damage to the surfaces. Alright, so that's gapped around 44 thousandths. Now you can put some anti-seize on these threads. Different manufacturers have different recommendations, so check with your plugs, check with the recommendations for your particular part. If you're putting anti-seize on the plugs, make sure you don't get any anti-seize on the end threads. You don't want any anti-seize to drip down, get into this area, so keep the anti-seize above that, just in this area. Certainly, you want to put some dielectric grease. Apply that in two places. One I'm going to put a little bit on the ceramic here. Next, we're going to put a little bit into our coil pack here. I just put one more little dot of dielectric grease on the end there. Now we'll put the plug into our spark plug socket. So now you see how that rubber grommet inside holds the plug. Drop it in, be very careful. When we start to thread it, you want to make sure that you're not cross-threading it, so just do it by hand, only by hand. Just go by feel, start turning it by hand. So once it's seated by hand, we want to go another 1/4 to half turn. Spark plug tightens to 13 foot-pounds. Quarter, there's our half. I wouldn't normally do this, but I can see on visual inspection there's a little piece of something in there. I'm just going to try to blow that out. There. Okay, we're all clear. I'm going to put this in place. Not quite all the way tight, because it's just a little easier to clip. Get our wire harness back on until you hear it click. Pop that in. It may click. Yours did not. There, but you can feel it when it seats. Now to replace the 10 mil bolt, I'm going to tighten the 10 mil bolt. It's not too tight. You don't want it too tight. It's just 7.5 foot-pounds. Not super tight. Now I'm doing my plugs one at a time. We would just continue that for the rest of the plugs. I've got all the plugs replaced now. I just want to show you a little snag I had. You can see that these two bolts on the coil packs are very rusted. So I couldn't get the 10 mil to fit. It was too loose on these. So what I ended up using was just a little 3/8 socket, and then I was able to get those off with that. A little bit tight, but you know, tight's good. So now before I replace the cover, I just want to start it up. Check that there are no misfires. Purring like a kitten. A little bit loud, but that's a muffler issue. Maybe that'll be another video. I just replaced the cover. Pop those rubber, one on each end. Clockwise, 90 degrees. And good to go. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If it saved you a bit of money, why not send me a little thanks through YouTube at the bottom. Appreciate it. That will allow me to keep making more videos, save you more money.